I think this all leads back to the fact that both of us love, love, love Kyle Dubas taking these swings on guys like Cody Glass, on guys like Philip Tomasino. And the more things work out, which I think that even though he didn't score a goal, I think that so far things have worked out with Cody Glass. So far, things have worked out with Anthony Beauvillier. It's a little bit of a different story because he was an unrestricted free agent. So we'll take him out of this conversation. But Cody Glass, Tomasino's early returns, the more these work, the more he's going to target these players because it's just telling him, hey, these fresh starts, if we pick the right players and we put them in the right situation, they are going to be great, low risk, potentially very high reward finds for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, it's a little bit more of a risk when you're taking on a guy who has 3 years remaining at $3 million versus taking on a Cody Glass who was on an expiring contract, taking on Philip Tomasino, who's on an expiring contract that's under $1 million. This is a little bit more of a risk. But I think when you've succeeded in these other smaller risk scenarios, it gives you the confidence to go out there and take a big swing, or a bigger swing, I should say, on a guy like a Nils Hoglander. He was in on David Juracek, who we talked about. That's a huge swing for the Penguins trying to bring in a talented, young, right shot defenseman. And he was also connected to Kirby Dach in a lot of those rumors as well, who, first and foremost, Kirby Dach is still 23 years old. Like, Nils Hoglander is a player that, man, he's been in the league that long and he's still only 23. But Kirby Dach specifically, being 23 years old, is baffling to me.
He should be turning 24 soon, but still,
I believe he turns 24 on December 20th. So
January 21st. But
Hoglander birthday is December 20th. So both of them are turning 24 in the next 60 days.
Yes, but Kirby Dach is a player that played 64 games in the COVID cutoff season, the 1920 season.
Yeah, and if you've been playing since before then, you're a grizzled veteran in this league because it feels like that was a century ago.
Pretty much, yeah. And with Kirby Dach, I think the situation's a little different. He had injuries all of last season that held him to just 2 games. Had 2 assists in those 2 games. That's called a point per game pace, if you ask me. But then again, he's playing in Montreal where they are building something special for the future. It just doesn't seem like he's going to be part of it because of a gazillion different players that are supposed to really take over that team. 8 points this year in 24 games, only 1 goal. I think I'm a little higher on Hoglander than I am Dach.
That was going to be my next question of those two, would you prefer the Penguins go after Hoglander or would you prefer them go after Dach? Because it's essentially a similar situation, just a pick your poison of player. They have similar contracts and they're of similar age as well. So
yeah, I think I would roll more with Hoglander, not only because he's under control, I think a little bit longer.
Yeah, two
more years. Yeah, but also has proven it more. Yeah. It's not necessarily that Dach hasn't proven it. He's always been on a bad team. It's kind of that holds him back a bit. He was with Chicago at first for 3 seasons, where he played 64, then 18, then 70 games for 59 total points. It's not phenomenal, but it's also your first 3 years in the NHL, cut off by COVID, no less. But then in Montreal, where he had 38 points his first year in 22-23, but injuries since, it's tough. But I just think what I'm getting at here is Hoglander's ceiling seems higher than it does for Kirby Dach, despite how much of a house of fire Kirby Dach kind of came in. Like, I vaguely remember him being talked about as possibly a very important piece for a team down the line.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the NHL out of the draft, Dach was a 3rd overall pick, and Hoglander was a 2nd round pick. But I think what you've seen is Hoglander show that ceiling is pretty equal, and he's been a lot healthier during his career than Kirby Dach has. And not to mention, I already talked about the physicality that Hoglander brings. Again, he's not going to go out there and be a Nola Chari. I don't think they make him like that anymore, but he's much more physical in my eyes than Kirby Dach is. So I would agree with you. I would go with Hoglander over Dach if given the option and given the opportunity to just pick 1 for 1. And a big part of that is that 2 more years of control, right? Kirby Dach has this year and next at 3.3. Hoglander would come in this year at 1.1, and then it goes up to $3 million for the following 3 years. So I think I would stick with Hoglander as well.